and the immigrants that are coming over here come over here because our educational system is so fucking bad that it doesn't teach anybody anything. As far as trade, so now I'm not I'm not a I'm not big on the idea of protectionism, and extreme, so protectionism to a small degree is okay. You know, globalization to a small degree is okay. Definitely not in the way it's handled now. So I mean, for me, when I think about trades, imports and exports, I think it would be a much better idea, or at least I would want to see how it would work out if we just had a policy that if we import some more of something than we export, or if we export more of something than we import, then there's a percentage-based tariff based on the percentage difference. So basically trying to create a stable equity tariff system so that wealth isn't leaving this country through trade, and that we're not robbing other countries of their wealth through trade. L. Ensuring public lands, waters, and oceans are protected and that the eminent domain is not abused. Yes. We can't. If you're going to use the resources, it has to be regenerative use. M. Obtaining the free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous peoples for all decisions that affect indigenous peoples and their traditional territories, honoring all treaties and agreements with indigenous peoples, and protecting and enforcing the sovereignty and land rights of indigenous peoples. And how about, not just that, but how about like legal rights as well? I mean, you have a lot of indigenous land, indigenous people. I remember there was a story a while ago where some was it some county sheriff raped a girl on the indigenous, one of the indigenous lands, but they couldn't do anything about it because they had no legal recourse. There's a lot of places in this country where these people just have no rights whatsoever. And of course, on the flip side, you got places where it goes overboard, and so again, creating equity, equality and neutrality amongst peoples. Ensuring a commercial environment where business person is free from unfair competition and domination by domestic or international monopolies. And so this definitely, you get people who, I always find it funny that the people that tout the idea of a free market don't participate in a free market. People that tout the idea of a free market are typically people that exist on corporate welfare, government subsidies, exclusive government subsidies, and so forth. A free market is not a fair market because, and you can really twist the word free all you want. I mean, realistically, I think in these people's head, they tout the idea of a free market because it's free for me, but not for you. That's what they're thinking. But if you leave everything unfettered, it's like the whole idea of like people who believe that anarchy would be a good idea. It's first off, if you just unfetter everything, that doesn't take away all the resources people have had previously. There are things that people want and things that people have. That's how capitalism works. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you take away all the rules and say, okay, anybody can do whatever, well, that gives anybody the right, or not the right, but the ability to just create their own faction and muscle over everybody they want. Because, again, if you take away the rules, you're not taking away everybody's prior resources. Taking away the rules doesn't reset everybody to zero. taking away, having rules effectively puts people at an even playing field, but taking away the rules gives them the ability to do whatever they want with whatever they've had beforehand. And trust me, there are people with a lot more shit than you that people want, and they're willing to get away, they're willing to give to people to take more of your shit. And so there you go. That's why you want regulations in the government. Now, are there regulations that have been created to build up bullshit businesses? Yes, of course, but this goes back to the whole government welfare or corporate welfare, situation. So you want regulation that evens the playing field, not tips it. Okay? Providing all people of the United States with 1. High quality health care, 2. Affordable, safe, and adequate housing, 3. Economic security, and 4. Clean air, clean water, healthy and affordable food, and access to nature. Okay. High quality health care. Okay, providing the people with health care, yes. And this, realistically, you have to ask yourself, what should the purpose of government be in my life? And traditionally, the answer to that is to provide two things: security and economic stability. And having people being provided with health care is both a security issue and an economic stability issue, because sick people sometimes will do whatever the fuck they can to get healthy, and sick people don't work that much. I should know. I'm pretty fucking broken myself. But if you have healthy people, then the people are able to work, they're able to contribute to the economy, and so forth. Affordable, safe, and adequate housing. So one thing I think we might want to look at, especially with giving how many homeless people we have in this country, is a federal tax on properties, extra owned properties that aren't being rented. So, like, if somebody has 2 homes and they're not renting out one of them, that's contributing to the housing crisis, the homelessness. So, it's and homeless people. I mean, yeah, we got a decent number of homeless people that are actually working now, but how much longer do you think that's gonna be that way? And so yeah, like if somebody owns more than one home and they're not renting out those extra homes, then it would probably be a good idea to put a federal tax on that. 3, economic security. Yes, I mean, that's why we have Social Security, even though it's been fucking robbed all the goddamn time. And clean water, clean air, healthy, affordable food, and access to nature. So yes, those are all things that people should have in order to survive, and people that survive, can contribute and so forth. And I was going to go on a rant, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it right now. I guess I will anyway. So and I've said in here, the document explicitly mentions women a lot, and well, not a lot, but explicitly mentions women, and by doing that, you're creating a divide between peoples, and realistically, that's not what we need. Now, you have feminism, but realistically, you have a lot of people who claim to be a feminist and really have no idea as to the historical roots of the feminist movement and what its whole intent is. Many people, and this is my problem with feminism, is that it's called feminism. many people just look at a name and they say, okay, everything's in the name. It's just the way that people are. So people think of a feminist movement and say, okay, well, it's something only for women and to make, to empower women. When that was not the intent of those that started the movement. Now, you could say, okay, empowering women, yeah, that's a good thing, but a benevolent ism is still an ism, and is oftentimes worse than a malicious ism. People that are well adjusted to society in general and a productive part of society are that way because throughout their lives they have been through just strife. Okay? Whereas a malicious ism puts people through unjust strife. And a benevolent ism prevents people from experiencing strife at all, or at least mitigates the amount of strife that they have to face. And this is not healthy. And this has severe psychological impacts on our economy. Case in point, kids in this country are treated fucking horribly, and it has been that way for a while. Because, I remember when it was like the 90s, the whole campaign was, oh yeah, kids, everything for kids. They're so precious. They can do no wrong. Everybody objectifies children, especially their own children, and treats them like trophies rather than people. And it's the whole Finding Nemo effect. If you keep your kid from experiencing anything, then they're never going to be able to handle any situation. So now you've got all these people in this country that can't understand why they can't fit into society, why they can't fit into a job and the demands of a job, because they've been told their entire lives that they're special and the world revolves around them. So whereas we can say another group of people, we'll just say in this case black people, they live through economic disparity. Their educational system typically has been worse than up until like the recent past couple of years. Their educational system typically has been worse than other groups of people, but at the same time they still have been able to cope with some of the pressures of having a job and be able to maintain a job, as I'm talking like statistically here. So this is what I'm trying to get to when I'm saying, how benevolentism is often worse than a malicious ism. You have to treat people as individuals. You can't just say, oh, you're this ethnicity, this gender, whatever, and say, because you're still participating in a segregatory practice. So it's because of this I don't like the idea of feminism, but rather I promote the idea of gender neutrality. So the word feminism is a non-inclusive term, and it's also has no comparator in it. If you look at the roots of feminism, the whole wave started was to eliminate the traditional gender roles for both men and women, and not to empower women, but to remove shackles from both genders, from both sexes. Have the whole sex and gender conversation. But that's something that people who've never understood, who don't understand the history of feminism, are going to get through the label of feminism. So this is why I'm against feminism, but I'm pro gender neutrality. So that's my little rant, and that's my reading of the Green New Deal and my issues with it, and some things I agree with. And till next video.